The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
All right, Mike Clowney, back at home to face a top 15 team, the Lenoir-Rhyne Bears. Start us off with a statement about week 2 of sack play.
I think number one for us is just good to be back home after being on the road for 2 weeks. You realize, how much fun it is to kind of be in your own place, doing your own thing, and then just kind of going into week 2 of sack play. Lenoir-Rhyne this week, I knew they were ranked. I didn't exactly know where they would fall, but, good football team, and they've kind of, become, really kind of a steady Eddie in this conference as far as, being at that top tier, and I think, they're still there right now. I think the big thing for us, though, is to continue to work on us and work on developing and growing us. I think there's some things that, you go and look at our tape from last week. There's still, a lot of good things to draw from that. A lot of things that, to me, that we should be able to get fixed. And we got to make sure that we go out this week and, put the work in, put the effort in to get a lot of those things kind of cleaned up.
Should be a fun weekend. Always fun having old Eagles back in the nest. 40th anniversary reunion of the '83 team. And of course, if you get one of the '80s teams back, they all come back. Should have a lot of guys that won national titles back on campus this weekend. What does that mean to you as a former player, now head coach, having a lot of guys who invested themselves in this program over the years returning to campus?
I think the key thing to me that you said is you get one of those guys back, you get a lot of them back. And I think that's a testament to the relationships, that those guys built over the time period that they were here. That blood and sweat and tears that they put in together, on the field and off the field, that creates a bond that's, pretty much an eternal bond, the way we do things here, to where you learn to grow in Christ together and you learn to develop as people. And that's kind of what pushes you, down the road in life. That's where I was able to talk to Mark Isom a little bit yesterday and just kind of, echo that sentiment. That's where we talked about, how to get these guys involved with the current team. And I think that's another part of that becomes exciting is, when we have an opportunity to mesh these decades together and, talk to our team yesterday about, the things that some of those guys do for this current team, not because they know them by name, but because they're involved in the program. And I think it's something that speaks dividends to just kind of where things have been here, over several decades. And we're looking forward to having them on campus.
The thing that sticks out to you about LR, my goodness, defense and special teams unit that, if you take LR defense and special teams as a college football team, they outscore 20 other teams in the country. I don't know that I've seen that prolificness, especially on special teams. What makes them tick?
They've got a lot of chemistry, working together. I think they've done a good job of creating, some things for one another. They've got a returner that's a freshman that's really, a good player and making a lot of good plays. But he's also, benefiting from the experience of those other guys that are those defensive players that are playing on special teams that's making an impact to help get him in the end zone. And defensively, we talk about opportunities. There's several times on video to where you see that, there's an opportunity there. There's a tip ball. Other guys run to the football, and he's able to capitalize on it because, he's doing his job the right way and wind up being in the right place at the right time and being able to make a play to help his team. And so I think those are the things that you see, and that production is kind of a result of them doing all the little things correctly.
It feels like it's been this way for a few years now, but the quality of tailback that you face in this league week in, week out is just astonishing. You go from Trey Stewart to Dwayne McGee, probably a little bit different back that you face this week with the caliber. Very little drop-off from Stewart to McGee. How are they similar? How are they different?
I think, Stewart, that's where we talked about, just both. They're really a lot alike when you go and look at them. McGee was a, dominant force in the league 2 years ago, basically won every award hands down offensively. And then Stewart kind of comes on the scene last year. We're having those debates on, who's going to be the all-conference running back. And, you almost could flip a coin because, they're all just talented kids with great numbers and production. McGee does a good job. He's really a good downhill runner. Stewart's probably a little bit more, got a little wiggle type of guy, but both of them have both of those things, and it's really kind of hard to separate them.
Defensively, a guy that feels like he's been there for forever and a day, John Ross May, league's leader in tackles for loss. LR defensively leads the country in tackles for loss. What's the key to preventing John Ross May and the defense from getting consistent pressure in your backfield?
For us, we got to do a better job of communicating and connecting. We got to communicate what we're doing, and then we got to be willing to do the things it takes to get it done. Seal gaps, continue to stay on blocks, keep our feet running. So for us, like, those are the things that we got to do, is don't create an opportunity for him because we didn't do something we were supposed to do. We've got to take care of the things that we're supposed to take care of. And, he's going to probably at some point have some production in this game. He plays linebacker. He's a good player. But we've got to minimize that by doing the things that we need to do well.
Looking back at Limestone, it feels like the items that you have to correct are correctable. I mean, looking back at last year's recap from the Limestone game, the first thing that out of your mouth was need to tackle better. And I think that was quote number one this year. And last year against LR, the team made that correction. Is it just a matter of rehashing that as a point of emphasis?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we've got to go back and, we had Pat on, we just didn't wrap and run. Those are the things that we got to go back and make sure this week we continue to work on wrapping and running. We don't get comfortable in the fact that, like, we've done it before, but we continue to work to improve every single week.
Jaden Sullins, Cam Ferguson continue to be, I want to say the surprises because they certainly were there in camp, but given the injuries to T.J. King and Tyree Nelson and trying to get them back in the mix, they continue to be the bellwethers in the backfield. What sticks out to you about their efforts through a quarter of the season?
Really that consistency. I think that's the thing that really defines the two of them. They both show up. They do what their coaches do every single day, and you don't have to worry about that. What
can you say about an offensive line that has had to shuffle a little bit due to injuries?
It's like that's one of those things you at some point would like to get past, but we haven't been able to. And so the thing that we continue to do is, continue to work and grow and push, the development and depth. I think that's where we've worked to get the numbers to where we have replacements. And that thing is we're starting to run low on them right now.
I want to go back to the thoughts on the 83 team. You kind of touched on it, but just how meaningful is it for them to connect with this year's group?
I think that's all I would say. You would say meaningful, but in a lot of ways, it's really spiritual. I think that's the thing that Christ calls us to do, is to lead for the generations behind us and learn from the ones in front of us. And it's football's an easy catalyst to be able to see that. Those guys will come in here, and like we talked about earlier in the year, we put all those trophies on the table in the hallway, and it's been cool, not just watching our guys go look at it, but having a place for those guys when they come back to see that, the things that they put in the building are still there. The posters are still on the wall, and so our kids walk in and, they see those pictures on the wall every day, and then to be able to associate a name with that picture and then get a part of that story, firsthand, hands-on, what was it like to play here and have that type of success. I think it's something that makes us unique. I think it's something that's good for everybody involved.